Welcome back to Abyss of Crime. In today's harrowing exploration, we delve into a chilling new case. This is the tragic story of Nathan Paet, a beloved family man and dedicated serviceman whose life was brutally cut short. On the night of December 1st, 2010, Nathan was gunned down on the doorstep of his home in Las Vegas, Nevada. This case is one that sends shivers down the spine, not just because of the senseless violence, but because of the deceit and betrayal that lurked beneath the surface of what seemed to be a perfect family life. Who committed this heinous crime? What could have driven someone to murder Nathan in cold blood? And how did the police manage to uncover the twisted conspiracy behind this act of violence? These are the key questions we will explore in this documentary. As we peel back the layers of this dark tale, you will be taken on a journey through the shadowy corridors of human nature, where greed, infidelity, and betrayal intertwine to form a web of deceit. Stay with us as we unravel the mystery of Nathan Paet's murder, piece by piece. Nathan Paet's story begins in the serene village of Tamuning, Guam, a place known for its close-knit communities and breathtaking landscapes. Born into a loving family, Nathan was one of 5 children, with 3 brothers and 1 sister. From a young age, Nathan was sociable and caring, traits that endeared him to everyone who knew him. His parents, who worked hard to provide for their family, instilled in him the values of dedication, loyalty, and service to others. As Nathan grew older, his sense of duty and commitment became more pronounced. He was not just a good student, but also an active participant in community activities. He often volunteered for local events and was always the first to lend a helping hand to anyone in need. His charismatic personality made him a natural leader among his peers. After graduating from high school, Nathan decided to pursue a career in the United States Air Force. This decision was driven by his desire to serve his country and make a difference in the world. His journey took him far from the shores of Guam to various assignments across the United States. Nathan's service record was nothing short of exemplary. He was known for his discipline, hard work, and unwavering commitment to his duties. His colleagues respected him, and his superiors often commended him for his dedication. It was during one of his assignments that Nathan met Michelle, the woman who would become his wife. Their relationship blossomed quickly, and it wasn't long before they decided to marry. Nathan's life seemed to be on a perfect trajectory. He had a fulfilling career and a loving family, which now included 2 beautiful children. Nathan's dedication to his family was as strong as his commitment to his country. He was a doting father and a loving husband. Friends and family often spoke of how Nathan would go out of his way to make sure his family was happy and well taken care of. Whether it was attending his children's school events or planning family outings, Nathan was always present, always involved. One particular anecdote that illustrates Nathan's character is a story from his time in the Air Force. During a particularly challenging mission, Nathan's quick thinking and bravery not only ensured the success of the operation, but also saved the lives of several of his comrades. This act of heroism earned him a commendation and further solidified his reputation as a dedicated serviceman. In summary, Nathan Paet was a man who lived his life with honor and integrity. His journey from a caring child in Guam to a decorated serviceman in the United States Air Force is a testament to his character. As we delve deeper into this case, it becomes even more tragic to realize how such a noble life could end in such a horrifying manner. Nathan and Michelle's love story began in a seemingly ordinary setting, but grew into an extraordinary bond. They met during high school in Guam, where their paths crossed in the hallways of John F. Kennedy High School. Initially, they were just friends, sharing laughs and secrets like most teenagers. Nathan's warm personality and Michelle's kind-hearted nature made them instant companions. Over time, their friendship deepened, and they became inseparable. Their bond was further solidified during a particularly tough period for Michelle. Her family went through a financial crisis, and Nathan stood by her side, offering unwavering support. He would often help her with schoolwork, lend a listening ear, and even pitch in with her family's needs. This period of adversity strengthened their connection, and it wasn't long before they realized their friendship had blossomed into love. After high school, Nathan enlisted in the Air Force, while Michelle pursued further education. Despite the physical distance, their relationship only grew stronger. They wrote letters, made long-distance phone calls, and visited each other whenever possible. Nathan's deployments were particularly challenging times, but they both were committed to making it work. Michelle admired Nathan's dedication to his country, and Nathan cherished Michelle's unwavering support. Their love story hit a significant milestone when Nathan proposed to Michelle during one of his leaves. The proposal was simple yet heartfelt, symbolizing their shared journey and deep affection for each other. They planned a beautiful wedding, which took place in Guam, surrounded by friends and family. It was a day filled with joy, love, and the promise of a bright future together. Soon after their marriage, Nathan and Michelle welcomed their first child, a baby boy, followed by a daughter a couple of years later. Parenthood brought new dimensions to their relationship, and Nathan was a devoted father. Despite his demanding military career, he always made time for his family, attending school events and planning family outings whenever possible. Their relationship was not devoid of challenges. Nathan's frequent deployments tested their patience and resilience, but they always found a way to reconnect and keep their love alive. Their shared dreams and ambitions kept them united as they planned for a future filled with love, stability, and happiness. The decision to move to Nevada was driven by Nathan's career in the Air Force. He was assigned to Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas, a move that brought both excitement and apprehension. The family saw it as an opportunity for a fresh start and a chance to build a new life in a vibrant city. The initial excitement was palpable as they scouted neighborhoods, eventually purchasing a modest yet comfortable home in a suburban area. However, the financial reality of their new life soon began to set in. The cost of living in Las Vegas was higher than they had anticipated, and managing the household expenses became increasingly challenging. Nathan's military salary, while steady, was not sufficient to cover all their needs. To make ends meet, Nathan took on additional jobs, working late nights and weekends. He even volunteered for extra deployments, hoping the additional income would ease their financial strain. Michelle, on the other hand, struggled to adjust to their new lifestyle. The initial excitement of the move gave way to frustration as financial pressures mounted. She felt isolated and dissatisfied, especially with Nathan being away so often. The once harmonious relationship began to show signs of strain. Arguments about money became frequent, and the growing tension started to take a toll on their marriage. Nathan's relentless efforts to provide for his family were commendable, but they came at a significant personal cost. He was often exhausted and stressed, which only added to the tension at home. Michelle, feeling increasingly discontented, started to express her dissatisfaction more openly. The financial struggles highlighted the cracks in their relationship, and the love that once seemed unbreakable now felt fragile. As their financial situation worsened, the couple found themselves in a vicious cycle of debt, and despair. Credit card bills piled up, and they struggled to keep up with mortgage payments. The dream of a stable, happy life in Las Vegas seemed to be slipping away, replaced by a harsh reality that neither of them had anticipated. The mounting pressure created an environment ripe for conflict and discontent. Nathan's dedication to his family was unwavering, but the emotional and financial strains were becoming too much for Michelle to bear. The once strong and loving relationship was now overshadowed by financial woes and growing dissatisfaction, setting the stage for the tragic events that would soon unfold. Michelle Paet's life took a dark turn when she met Michael Rodriguez at her telemarketing job. Michael was charismatic, with an air of confidence that Michelle found captivating. He was everything Nathan was not at that moment: present, attentive, and seemingly able to provide the excitement and escape Michelle craved amidst her mounting dissatisfaction and financial struggles. Their affair began innocently enough, with casual conversations and shared lunches. However, it quickly escalated into a secretive and passionate relationship. Michael became Michelle's confidant, the one she turned to when her frustrations with Nathan and their financial woes became too much to bear. She confided in Michael about her darkest thoughts, expressing feelings of entrapment and despair. It was during these conversations that the seeds of a sinister plan began to take root. As their relationship deepened, Michelle and Michael began to discuss the possibility of life without Nathan. The idea of escaping their financial troubles through Nathan's life insurance policy became an alluring prospect. The policy was substantial, enough to erase their debts and provide a fresh start. What started as idle talk soon solidified into a chilling conspiracy to murder Nathan. Michael's criminal connections came into play as he enlisted the help of Corey Hawkins and Jessica Austin. Corey, a petty criminal with a history of violence, and Jessica, a woman willing to do anything for money, became crucial elements in the plot. Each had a specific role to play, and the financial incentives involved were enough to secure their participation. The planning process was meticulous. Michelle provided detailed information about Nathan's routines, ensuring the conspirators knew exactly when and where to strike. Corey was tasked with procuring the weapon, while Michael would carry out the actual shooting. Jessica's role was to create an alibi for Michael and provide logistical support. The plan was to make the murder look like a botched robbery, a random act of violence that would divert suspicion away from Michelle. In the weeks leading up to the incident, the conspirators met several times, ironing out the details and ensuring everyone knew their part. Michelle's involvement was crucial. Her intimate knowledge of Nathan's habits and her ability to manipulate the situation from the inside were key to the plan's success. She ensured Nathan's alarm clock would fail on the night of the murder, delaying his departure and creating the perfect window for the attack. The financial incentives were clear. The life insurance payout would be split among the conspirators, with Michelle receiving the lion's share. For her, it was not just about the money, but also about escaping a life she felt trapped in. For Michael, Corey, and Jessica, the promise of a substantial payoff was motivation enough to commit the unthinkable. The night of December 1st, 2010, began like any other for the Paet family. Nathan had a late start for work and spent the evening helping with the kids' bedtime routine. Unbeknownst to him, his alarm clock had been tampered with, ensuring he would wake up later than usual. This delay was crucial for the conspirators' plan. As Nathan prepared to leave for his night shift, he kissed Michelle and their children goodbye. The warmth of his farewell was a stark contrast to the cold-hearted betrayal that awaited him. He walked out to the garage, unaware that Michael Rodriguez was lying in wait, hidden in the shadows. Nathan opened the garage door, and as he stepped inside, he was ambushed. Michael emerged from his hiding spot, gun in hand. The first shot rang out, hitting Nathan in the chest. Stunned and in pain, Nathan tried to fight back, but Michael was relentless. He fired multiple shots, each one more devastating than the last. Nathan's desperate struggle to stay alive was a testament to his willpower, but the injuries were too severe. Chaos ensued as Michelle, feigning shock and horror, dialed 911. Her voice trembled as she reported the shooting. Her performance convincing enough to deceive the emergency operator. Within minutes, the sound of sirens filled the air as police and paramedics rushed to the scene. Nathan was still alive when they arrived, but barely. He was rushed to the nearest hospital, leaving a trail of blood and anguish in his wake. The emergency room was a scene of frantic activity as doctors and nurses fought to save Nathan's life. Despite their best efforts, the injuries were too severe. Nathan Paet was pronounced dead in the early hours of December 2nd, 2010. The initial police response to Nathan Paet's murder was swift and methodical. Detectives Todd Williams and Laurie Anderson led the investigation, arriving at the crime scene shortly after the first responders. The garage, now a grim tableau of violence, was meticulously examined. Blood evidence was abundant, splattered across the concrete floor and the walls, but notably, there were no signs of a struggle or forced entry, and nothing appeared to be stolen. This raised immediate questions about the nature of the crime. Detectives Williams and Anderson began forming their initial theories. The lack of robbery indicators led them to consider more personal motives. Could it have been a targeted hit, perhaps stemming from Nathan's military career or personal life? Financial troubles were another avenue they explored, given the typical stressors associated with such situations. The detectives meticulously documented the crime scene, collecting forensic evidence and photographing every detail. Meanwhile, Nathan's family was in a state of profound shock. Michelle, outwardly devastated, played the role of a grieving widow convincingly. The children were frightened and confused, adding to the emotional weight of the scene. Despite their grief, the family cooperated fully with the investigation, providing information about Nathan's routines, work, and personal life. Michelle's accounts, however, were closely monitored by the detectives, who noted her behavior and statements for any inconsistencies. The detectives began piecing together the events leading up to the murder by interviewing neighbors and gathering witness statements. Many neighbors reported hearing gunshots but didn't see anyone fleeing the scene. Some recalled seeing a suspicious vehicle in the vicinity earlier in the evening, but details were scant. As they delved deeper, the detectives discovered that Nathan had been under significant financial stress, further fueling their suspicion of a financially motivated crime. They also learned about Michelle's job at a telemarketing firm, which opened another potential avenue for investigation. Early theories ranged from a random act of violence to a carefully planned attack, but nothing concrete surfaced initially. The police worked tirelessly, sifting through Nathan's personal and professional life, hoping to find a lead. The investigation was in its infancy, but the detectives were determined to uncover the truth behind Nathan Paet's tragic death. Little did they know, the breakthrough they needed was just around the corner, hidden in the web of deceit woven by those closest to Nathan. The breakthrough in the investigation came when detectives began scrutinizing Michelle's behavior and statements more closely. Something about her grief seemed rehearsed, her answers too calculated. During questioning, Michelle's demeanor occasionally slipped, revealing glimpses of anxiety and nervousness that didn't quite align with the image of a devastated widow. Detectives Williams and Anderson decided to dig deeper into Michelle's background and activities. They obtained a warrant to search her phone records and digital communications. What they discovered was shocking coded text messages between Michelle and Michael Rodriguez. The messages, filled with cryptic language and references, hinted at a deeper, more sinister plot. As they decoded the texts, a narrative of conspiracy and premeditation began to emerge. The detectives then turned their focus to Michael Rodriguez. Surveillance footage from nearby cameras on the night of the murder revealed a vehicle matching the description of the one seen by neighbors, parked near the Paet residence. Further investigation linked this vehicle to Michael, placing him at the scene during the critical time frame. With this new evidence, the detectives brought Michael in for questioning. Under pressure, Michael's alibi began to crumble, and inconsistencies in his story became apparent. His demeanor shifted from confident to evasive, raising further suspicions. The investigation took another significant turn when a key witness came forward. Jessica Austin, initially a minor player in the conspiracy, decided to cooperate with the police in exchange for leniency. Her testimony provided crucial details about the planning and execution of the murder, implicating both Michelle and Corey Hawkins. Jessica revealed how Michelle had orchestrated the entire plot, driven by financial desperation and a desire to escape her troubled marriage. Corey Hawkins was subsequently arrested, and his interrogation revealed even more about the conspiracy. He confirmed the roles each conspirator played and detailed the financial incentives promised by Michelle. The pieces of the puzzle were finally coming together. Forensic evidence, witness testimonies, and digital communication records painted a damning picture of premeditated murder. The detectives had uncovered a chilling conspiracy orchestrated by Michelle Paet and executed with the help of Michael Rodriguez, Corey Hawkins, and Jessica Austin. Their motive was clear: the lucrative life insurance payout. Detectives Williams and Anderson, through their relentless pursuit of truth, had exposed the dark and twisted plot behind Nathan Paet's tragic death. The stage was now set for the arrests and trials that would follow, bringing the conspirators to justice and revealing the full extent of their betrayal. The arrests of Michelle Paet, Michael Rodriguez, Corey Hawkins, and Jessica Austin were the culmination of weeks of meticulous investigation. Detectives Williams and Anderson had gathered enough evidence to obtain arrest warrants, and the operation to apprehend the suspects was executed with precision and drama. Michelle was the first to be arrested. The police arrived at her home early in the morning, catching her off guard. Her initial reaction was one of shock and disbelief, but as the handcuffs were placed on her wrists, her facade began to crack. Michael Rodriguez was arrested at his apartment. He tried to maintain his composure, but the sight of the police at his door clearly rattled him. Corey Hawkins and Jessica Austin were picked up shortly after, both displaying varying degrees of surprise and resignation. The interrogations that followed were intense and strategically planned. Detectives used a combination of evidence presentation and psychological pressure to elicit confessions. Michelle was confronted with the text messages and the testimonies of her co-conspirators. Initially, she tried to deny her involvement, but under relentless questioning, her defenses crumbled. She admitted to the affair with Michael and confessed to the planning of Nathan's murder. Michelle detailed how she felt trapped in her marriage and saw the life insurance money as a way out of her financial woes. Michael Rodriguez's interrogation was equally revealing. When faced with the evidence of his presence at the crime scene and the decoded messages, he attempted to deflect blame onto Michelle, claiming he was manipulated into participating. However, his story was inconsistent, and under pressure, he admitted to his role in the shooting, albeit while trying to minimize his culpability. Corey Hawkins, with a history of criminal activity, was initially defiant. However, the overwhelming evidence and the testimonies of his co-conspirators left him with little room to maneuver. He eventually confessed to his role in procuring the weapon and assisting in the planning. Jessica Austin, who had already begun cooperating with the police, provided a detailed account of the conspiracy. Her testimony was crucial in corroborating the roles of Michelle, Michael, and Corey. Jessica expressed remorse, claiming she was driven by financial desperation and was manipulated by Michael and Michelle. The interrogations revealed a chilling conspiracy, driven by greed and desperation, and executed with cold-blooded precision. The confessions and detailed accounts provided by the suspects painted a complete picture of the plot to murder Nathan Paet, leading to a strong prosecutorial case as they prepared for trial. The trials of Michael Rodriguez, Corey Hawkins, and Jessica Austin were highly publicized events, drawing significant media attention and community interest. Each accomplice faced serious charges, including first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and various related offenses. The prosecution, led by District Attorney Mark Henson, presented a compelling case built on forensic evidence, digital communications, and the confessions obtained during the interrogations. Michael Rodriguez's trial was the first to commence. The prosecution presented a damning case, showcasing the text messages, surveillance footage, and witness testimonies that placed Michael at the crime scene. Michael's defense attempted to portray him as a pawn manipulated by Michelle, but the jury was unconvinced. Key testimonies from Jessica Austin and forensic experts further solidified the prosecution's case. After several days of deliberation, the jury found Michael Rodriguez guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Corey Hawkins faced a similar fate. The prosecution highlighted his role in procuring the weapon and his participation in the planning meetings. Corey's defense argued that he was a minor player, driven by financial desperation, but the jury was swayed by the overwhelming evidence of his active involvement. Corey was found guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder, receiving a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 25 years. Jessica Austin's trial took a slightly different turn due to her cooperation with the police. The prosecution acknowledged her assistance in unraveling the conspiracy, which played a significant role in securing the convictions of Michelle and the other accomplices. As a result, Jessica received a reduced sentence. She was found guilty of conspiracy to commit murder and received a 15-year sentence, with the possibility of parole after 10 years. The trial of Michelle Paet was arguably the most anticipated and emotionally charged proceeding of all. From the moment she walked into the courtroom, all eyes were on her. Michelle's demeanor was a mixture of stoicism and visible anxiety. Her interactions with her legal team were frequent, as she often whispered hurriedly to her attorneys, seemingly seeking reassurance. The prosecution, led by District Attorney Mark Henson, built a formidable case against Michelle. They methodically laid out the evidence that painted her as the mastermind behind the conspiracy to murder her husband. Key pieces of evidence included the incriminating text messages between Michelle and Michael Rodriguez, detailed plans found on Michelle's phone, and the testimonies of her co-conspirators, Jessica Austin and Corey Hawkins. The prosecution argued that Michelle's financial desperation and desire to escape her marriage were the primary motives behind the murder plot. Witness testimonies were particularly damning. Jessica Austin's detailed account of the planning meetings and the roles assigned to each conspirator left little doubt about Michelle's involvement. Forensic experts testified about the tampered alarm clock and other manipulations that indicated premeditation. The prosecution's strategy was clear and devastatingly effective, leaving no room for doubt about Michelle's culpability. Michelle's defense team attempted to portray her as a victim of manipulation by Michael Rodriguez. They argued that Michelle was emotionally vulnerable and financially desperate, making her susceptible to Michael's influence. The defense also highlighted Michelle's expressions of remorse, hoping to garner some sympathy from the jury. However, these attempts were overshadowed by the overwhelming evidence of her active and willing participation in the murderous plot. After days of deliberation, the jury returned with their verdict. Michelle Paet was found guilty of first-degree murder and conspiracy to commit murder. The courtroom was filled with a palpable sense of tension as the verdict was read. Some gasped in shock, while others wept quietly. The judge, in his sentencing, emphasized the severity of the crime and the betrayal of trust. Michelle was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The verdict and sentencing brought a sense of justice to Nathan's family, though the pain of their loss remained. The tragic murder of Nathan Paet is a haunting reminder of the depths of human betrayal and the complex interplay of justice and forgiveness. As we reflect on this case, one question remains: can true closure ever be achieved when a crime is rooted in such profound personal betrayal? We invite you to share your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the shadows of the abyss of crime. As we conclude our exploration of the Nathan Paet case, we hope it has illuminated the deeper issues that lurk beneath the surface of society. If this series has captured your interest, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the darkest corners of criminal investigations. Please click the bell icon to ensure you don't miss any updates. Your engagement helps us bring these important stories to light. Until next time, stay vigilant and keep seeking the truth. Goodbye for now.